Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. I caught my wife cheating. She involved our daughter. I divorced and disowned her. It's been 13 days since I created this account to get it out of my chest. I lost my dignity, my pride, my love. I'm a naked man who will be walking the walk of shame because of what I did. I disowned and destroyed my family. This is the only place I'll write this out. I don't intend for this to blow out. If it does, I'll delete this account. I'm 48 now. This story started when I was 20. I met a girl who I thought was perfect. She was 19. We just clicked. Had the perfect chemistry. Dated for 2 years before she got pregnant at 21, we moved in. I was living with my mom at that time. My father died when I was 15. Mom never remarried. She had a consultancy firm where I worked as a receptionist. My late father's business was sold off construction when I was young. I became a father at 23 to a baby girl. She was the most beautiful girl. The bond between me and my girlfriend deepened after this. 2 years later, we got married. I joined a job as a computer programmer. Earned a 6-figure because it was in high demand. Our lives take off. My wife wanted to be a mom. I agreed but also recommended that she take up a part-time job to spend her time. Things took a turn when I was 29 and she was 28. Her father had a terrible accident that made him immobile from waist down. If it wasn't bad, he was the sole earner. I had a talk with my mom and my Phil, and Sil moved in with us. They lived in a rented place and now their sole earner is immobile. Finances were an issue. Sil took up a part-time job as did my wife to support her family. During this time, I also inherited from my late grandmother's will, which was split in two and was put for college fund and my insurance by my mother. I had no issues with it, but my wife wanted to buy a house with it so we can move out from here. I had no problem, but she specifically wanted to buy a house on her mother's name with my inheritance, and both the sisters would work to pay off my inheritance. This was the issue. So we had this distance part between us because I found her proposal weird. 2 years passed by. My mother suffered a stroke as she had several clots and doctors needed to do surgery urgently and fast. It was successful, but my wife wanted my mom to stay at the hospital rather than come home because it would be difficult to have 2 patients at home at once. I told her I agree, but I will hire a nurse. She denied. She wanted me to hire 2 nurses to take care of my Phil and mom or none. I told her she will have to pay for her father's expenses because I was already handling bills, groceries, taxes, our daughter's private school, and now this nurse. I won't be able to pay for her father's nurse. They should be able to afford it because both sisters make a combined of nearly $60,000 a year, which was probably more than enough given that they lived and ate free. My relationship with our daughter soured a bit at this time. She began disrespecting me and was mean to me openly. I thought she was just having child issues. She was 8 at the time. My mother had a speedy recovery and she voiced her opinions that she wants to sell her consultancy firm and put the money in my name. My wife had an argument right there because she wanted her to give it to our daughter and my wife, as I had already gotten my share of inheritance from my grandmother. What even more surprised me was that her mom and dad were quiet about it. My mother reminded her that it was her money and that she won't mind giving her inheritance as insurance plans. Nope, my wife had problems with me because, you see, we don't have a joint account. She can't access my account. Neither can I. She wants a joint account. We had an argument and it was decided that my mom will give the whole money to me. That was the end of it. So a few months pass by like this, but then unfortunately, my Phil passes away. It was harsh, especially to my wife. I tried to console her every way I could, handled both household and workload all by myself, not bragging. I tried to do everything I could, but it still was not enough for her. Funeral was my responsibility. It goes well, but still she'd complain how I could have done better. She began to sleep in a separate room with our daughter, who was 9 years old now. I convinced her to attend therapy and things settled down. We were intimate again, reconnected in a better and stronger way, but I sensed something was off with our daughter. She would shut me down every time I wanted to talk to her. It hurt seeing her like this. 2 years passed by as I tried to build a better bond with our daughter. This time around, my mother passed away. She had another stroke and sadly could not survive. I was devastated by her loss. You see, she raised me all by herself for the majority of my life because my father was busy. It was also the reason I wanted our daughter to have a better relationship with both of us and was giving a tremendous amount of effort to achieve that. I went into depression but no response from my wife. My daughter didn't even attend the funeral and I was saddened by it. 2 months after my mother's death, my mill asked me maybe I should move out from my mother's house, because I was overly depressed and I should get over it. I'm also ruining the atmosphere and it'll lighten me up. I calmly told her I want to remind you of your husband's passing. You and both of your daughters were in grief for 6 to 7 months. We never asked you to move out, and how dare you even ask me to move out from my own house? She was taken aback and went fully quiet by it. I talked to my wife regarding this but she didn't give me any response. I guess it was 2 days after this incident that I was grabbing something from the fridge and noticed my daughter's phone. A text came that reads something like, "It's good that the old witch is gone now, you can have the house to yourselves. We can have a party on your birthday." Excuse me, what? My daughter was 11 at the time, and what old witch? I read the convo and yes, indeed she was referring to my mother. She called me ape, controlling, even though I never denied her anything except for things that I deemed was useless for her. She wanted a pony at 6, koala at 9, panda and her own car at 11, who does that? I called my wife and showed her these. Her response was at me for trying to look into our daughter's phone. We had an argument about it, before she stormed off. She again began to sleep in separate beds. I tried to make amends but she shut me down. It took me to agree to our daughter's birthday party to get her into talking to me. 3 years passed by. For quick review, my daughter is 15, I'm 38 and my wife is 37. I had to go to another city for a summit for 4 months. I landed up in another job that provided me with tons of opportunities and even better pay. When I returned, my wife's entire demeanor changed around me. She quit her job, would hang out more with friends, which I supported, dressed up in more expensive and posh clothes. You get the idea. I thought it was a change of habit and was fine with it. But our daughter openly disrespected me, was mean right on my face. I kept trying and trying not to freak out. Sil and my wife were telling me it was just hormones and she's just a kid. I stayed upset but yeah, I trusted them. Bedroom skyrocketed at this time between me and my wife. She would want me to go down on her. I loved that, try out new positions, be kinky. I enjoyed every bit of it. Except for one day she bought the kink of me being caged, as in like chastity caged. I shut her down immediately. We argued over this for a week before she got frustrated and dropped the topic. Our sex life dwindled here. Things go worse from here. My wife suddenly wants to go on a girls' trip with her Sil and our daughter. I had no issues as it'll be great. I had to pay a nice sum for it but it was okay. She didn't call me for 3 days, had chats only with her mum and I had chit chat with her there. It was odd for me. I asked her about this when she returned. She told me she was just tired. I asked to see her photos. Saw a lot of friends, both male and female. It sent me into alert but she assured me it was just her friends and a few male friends. I saw nothing suspicious so I was okay. 2 months later was our daughter's birthday and I wanted to plan something for her. Wife asked not to as she will celebrate it with a girls' night. I was taken aback and voiced my opinion. Who TF takes their daughter at a girls' night? She told me it wasn't like that but rather her friends and their daughters only. No alcohol was involved. I was fine by it. My birthday was around the corner after this event. Keep in mind our sex life is bland now. It's once a week. I tried to initiate more but she always came up with excuses. I never celebrated my birthdays after my mom passed away, but each year my wife gives me gifts, so I kinda expected this. Wife tells me she has to go shopping with our daughter. Goes out for 6 hours, no calls, no texts, and no gifts. When I ask about it, she tells me one of her friends got into an accident and she stayed there and couldn't receive my calls. 2 weeks after this, my wife was showing me some pictures from our daughter's girls' camp and our daughter called her that she needed her. She handed me her phone and went out of the room. A text came telling our daughter to, "Hey my dear daughter, I'm sorry for this late reply. I'm the lucky one to be your mom's boyfriend. Tell your mom I love her and kiss her for me. I'll text you soon." It took me a ducking whole minute to read the text over and over again, and I still couldn't believe myself. I scroll up to see my daughter texted this person, "I'm glad your mom's boyfriend, really wished you were my dad XO what?" I go to the toilet, lock the door and read this conversation. All things noted, this guy's having an affair with my wife and our daughter knows. This guy is having an affair and our daughter knows? What in the ducking world? I saw pictures of vacations, girls' trips, and our daughter's birthday. They ducking went to a candlelight dinner as a family. This guy was kissing my wife right in front of our daughter and my daughter was pointing at them like it was some sort of a good romantic thing. What's more, my still ducking knew. The more I scrolled, the more my heart sank. It was this guy who gave my wife an idea about chastity. It seemed to me that my daughter and wife were both texting from this. What's more, this account wasn't even real. It was of a different username, but this guy knew everything about my family. Even on my birthday my wife and daughter were with this guy. At his house. What the duck? He was over my house, slept on my bed while I was gone for 4 months, and even worse. It has been going on for 4 years. 4 ducking years. I heard a loud bang on the toilet door. It was our daughter. I just came out and stared at her. This was the first time I stared at my daughter like this. The same daughter that I looked at with pride, love, and respect just sank to indifference and disappointment. I wasn't even angry. She was red and crying. She didn't know what to say. My wife was there, as was my Sil and Mill. I just asked my Mill if she knew what her daughter did. My wife responded, "We can talk." I don't know what came over me. I yelled out, "Shut the F up or I'll strangle you," and so loud that even neighbors might have woken up. I questioned my Mill again and she nodded. She ducking nodded. I looked at my daughter and told her, "I'm sorry I couldn't be a better father, but I'll do this one thing for her and divorce her mother." I called my wife her mother for the first time while addressing her, so this guy can be his father whom she dearly wants. Looked at my wife and told her she has 9 days month's end, to pack up and leave with her family. I'll hand over the divorce papers. But for now, move out. She kept crying, but my yelling and response might have taken her off guard. She knew I wasn't in the mood to argue or talk. I gave up. It's over. That was it. I couldn't sleep the whole night. Just stared at the wall, and my phone, looking at our family photos. In the morning, I told my wife not to cook for me because I don't trust her. She might poison me, not gonna lie. She broke down and I felt I was out of line with this, and I was going to file for divorce today. She tried to talk, but I had none of it. Mill asked me to wait and listen to her before making my decision. I had a friend who's a lawyer. I met him and lay all my cards at the table. He just tells me this. I've been a lawyer for 12 years, he's 41, and haven't seen a case as infuriating and saddening as yours. He hugged me. Told me his uncle is the family judge who probably will be handling my case. But before that, I need proof, loads of it. He gave me a number of someone who happens to be a bi. I hired him. Went through my daughter's phone, nothing. Talking to my wife, she told me sorry over and over again, but no remorse. My daughters, Sil and Mill, didn't come anywhere near me. My daughter was even to the point of being afraid of me so much that she lived 2 days at her friend's house. Her friend's father called me and I had to inform him of the entire situation. He said he's sorry. It was hard for him to believe what my daughter did, as it should be. No man ever could dream of getting betrayed like this by their own children. I found the guy. It turns out he's a jackass, a coward from the countryside who fears commitments, is a small-time thief, used to work at the same place as my wife. I hit his place with my lawyer, Pi, and another of my friends who happens to be police. Got him cornered on falsified claims and he spilled the beans. Turns out he was attracted towards my wife and accepted a challenge from his co-worker that he will have her in his bed. It soon turned to love. He was actually in love with my wife. Turns out it was him who called me my mom witch. It was a separate ID and she was just friends with my daughter before my wife dropped the news that she's having an affair with this guy. He was even ready to provide a written statement/video of him confessing, any photos and even a witness in exchange for a promise that word of this won't reach his office or his sickly mom who's 60+ with heart disease in the countryside, and a few $1,000. I agreed. My wife moved out with her family. She took a few more $1,000 from me to pay the lease. Divorce hearing, I lay all my cards on the table. Every screenshot, every video of her boyfriend confessing, every lie, receipts and even photos of them holding hands and kissing. The look on her face soured. She told me I was abusive, but this claim was easily dismissed as there was no proof, and if I was abusive, why would I allow her to do job and keep her family at my house? She had nothing to prove, and even her lawyer was taken aback by the amount of proof we had. She conceded at the end and told me she's incredibly sorry for what she did, and will do anything to make up for it even if it took the rest of her life to do so. Judge said I'll have to pay spousal support to her for 4 years. There was no custody battle as our daughter was already 17 at the time. She wished to stay with her mother. I had no problem with that. We'll come to this later. My wife will receive half of my house and her car, but nothing except that. I offered to buy her share of the house. I have a hefty sum left by my mother, remember? Another reason was house market will go up in future, I'll make a profit from there. Now here I requested one thing from the judge. I wanted to have my name removed from the birth certificate. This of course was not possible. If I can't, then I'll disown our daughter. The look on my wife's face was just the best thing. Her face turned white. She responded, "How could you?" I reminded her she put me to this. My daughter yelled, "Dad, you can't do this," right in the courtroom. I ignored her. Judge was a good man and understood my sentiments. However, he advised me to forgive. There is no way I can disown her legally, but I can cut her off from my will. It was it. It took me 8 months to get the divorce finalized, and I couldn't be happier. When I got out, I hugged my lawyer. He saved me. Ex-wife and ex-daughter came up. Wife told me she knows she doesn't even has the face to ask for forgiveness, but if I can find in my heart to forgive her. I replied, "I don't have a heart." She ripped it out. Daughter said she's sorry for what she did. She will be the best daughter and asked for another chance. This girl had the audacity to call me dad. I reminded her I wasn't her dad. I'm an ape if she remembers, and that her dad is the one she wanted. She should be happy that her mother is single now. She chased me, but I left. On our way back, I asked my lawyer if I could let the company my ex-wife works at know what my ex-wife was up to these years. He advised me to get a row first. With the help of my police friend and judge, I was able to get one. Had to spend money, went nuclear. Made 5 copies of evidence. 1 for company, 1 to be sent to ex-wife's boyfriend's sickly mom. I don't care, he didn't respected my home and my mom. I can't respect his. 1 was with my lawyer and I burnt 1. The last copy, I left it in my locker. The fallout was quite the show. They were fired. My ex still had the guts to call me out. She told me known me always as a brave, upstanding, loyal, strong character and humble man, but never thought I'd ruin her sister's career like this. She yelled at me for getting her sister fired. I chuckled and reminded her that it was her who supported the affair. I might be a coward for doing this, but what she did made her sister a homewrecker. I asked her why she was so mad. Is there a possibility she spread her legs for her sister's boyfriend too? She was sickened and blocked me. Mill reached out, forgot about this woman. She apologized for what happened. She couldn't raise her daughters well. I called her out. Told her she was a horrible and greedy woman. I wouldn't give a darn if she dies, and she should be thankful for having a person like me as her son-in-law in this life before blocking her. As for boyfriend, his mother had a heart attack and passed away. Turns out his mother always hated infidelity because boyfriend had daddy issues. Their dad left him before he was born. I felt sad, but therapy made me realize I shouldn't. It's human nature. I didn't know of this before. He nuked my marriage and family, I replied in my favor. As for my daughter, she kept reaching out, apologizing for every word. I blocked her, but she won't stop reaching out to me. I had to change my number. Sold my house 8 months after divorce was finalized. Got a hefty sum. Moved to a different city. Started afresh, attended therapy, gym, got a better paying job. Got into boxing. Bought a house, invested in cryptos and stocks. Made a fortune. Got into the dating market when I turned 42, met and remarried again at 44. Now I have a better wife who's amazing in every way, knows the value of relationships because she herself faced the same situation as me, no kids. I have a 4-year son with her and I couldn't be any more happier. I executed my will that excluded my daughter so she won't be getting anything from me. I don't know how, but she was able to reach out to me 2 weeks ago, sent 8 long paragraphs detailing how sorry she is. She's been in crippling depression, therapy, working hard. I got a call from my lawyer which surprised me even more. My daughter turned up to lawyer's office with $20,000. I'd where she got this from. She made a request that she will work hard and return every last penny I spent on her, and will keep on apologizing for the rest of her life, but she wants me in her life. She can't stay like this anymore. It's eating her alive. I don't know much about what happened, but as I heard, her mother, my ex-wife, turned depressive and had to be admitted into mental hospital. Her sister Sil moved in with an alcoholic abuser and is pregnant with her second kid. My ex-Mill passed away. She had an accident, lost a lot of blood, and if she survived, she would have ended up like her late husband. So now my ex-daughter is living alone, working at a part-time job because she couldn't finish her education. She borrowed some money from friends, also heard nearly all of her friends cut her off after I had a talk with her friend's dad. Everyone called her toxic and moved on. Not gonna lie, hearing all this shattered my heart. My wife is pushing me to build a bridge with my ex-daughter, saying she realizes her mistakes and she needs me now more than ever. If I don't help her now, she won't get up and will keep on falling endlessly. I don't know how to feel. When you're a father, a lot of responsibilities lies on your shoulders that you can't simply outrun. I gave my daughter the world and she stabbed me. I was hurt and angry, but more, my pride shattered. My love shattered. My decision to cut off my daughter was the toughest one, but I still made that decision. But I don't know if I should contact my ex-daughter now. My lawyer said I should because it's the right thing to do. I need to let it go for myself. Funny how life can change in an instant. Here is the thing, even disregarding the affair, you married a very greedy woman and supported her greedy family. Greedy women do not raise honorable children. You had all evidence of her nature by her actions, but you just stuck through with the life supporting greedy people. You did the right thing for yourself at court. And you should continue to do the right thing for you. It was never you who caused all this. It was their own actions. I can understand that getting back in touch will be a reminder of how you were betrayed by people who you stood by and supported, so you can sit down and talk to your wife that you no longer wish to relive the pain, and maybe she can take over communication if she chooses to, but tell how much or how little you would like to hear. I won't lie. If it was me, none of them would ever be able to reach out to me, and I would not change my will or be back to engaging with them on any level. While they had you to leech off of, they enjoyed betraying you, making a fool out of you. Each of them was capable of thinking about the future they would have should you find out about the affair, but they didn't. They started apologizing only when they had to bear the consequences of their actions, and had the guy, boyfriend, been rich, willing to take in your wife and her family, none of them would have ever reached out to you. They would still be laughing at you and the fact that they were able to get so much out of you. But all that being said, it seems that you were more engaged in making money than helping raise your daughter. Your daughter disrespected you because that is what she saw everyone in the house doing when you were not around. Your daughter learned this behavior from the people around her, especially your wife. Her mother and you were possibly never ever spending one-on-one time with her enough to see how she is doing. You relied on your wife more to help with raising your child. You failed to give more importance and notice to your wife's failings. Your daughter is not just a result of your wife being a shitty mother and influence, she is also the result of you having not much of an emotional presence in her life. Your naivety not just ruined your life, it also exposed your daughter to absolute shitty people. And now she is facing the consequences of her actions as well as your neglect. I mean, come on, she started showing disrespect towards you from age 8. Around the same time your wife started having issues with you not spending on her father's care and wanting more share from your mother's inheritance. Is this a coincidence? Had you got a chance to sit down with her alone and understand what her issue was, you would have realized that your wife was shit-talking about you, labeling you as a deadbeat and irresponsible father. You were not there to aid your daughter towards the right path, and now too you are absent. I know it is difficult for you, but do you not have a part to play in how your daughter turned out? I don't have the courage to do so. To mend and repair is one thing, but to hear out the painful details of what was happening is another. Moreover, she had 4 years. 14, 15, 16, 17. She could have told me about it, she at least could have at least known. I'm not angry about the cheating. It's been taken care of. I'm angry about the lying, disrespect, the times she outrightly belittled me. I can't just ever get it over. Even my now wife says my daughter did a tremendous amount of disrespecting that she doesn't think I can get over. Then how about just writing her a letter? Dear so-and-so. I am sorry to have not raised you better. I am sorry to have let you be influenced by bad people. I am sorry to not have been able to provide better people to surround you. I am sorry for the anger that I directed towards you. And I am more sorry than ever that I cannot be back in your life because it would make me relive all the pain that was caused to me. I hope that you can forgive me for that, and I hope that you take this letter as my permission or request to let go and move on. We both need to turn the page over a most painful experience we have suffered. We both have to learn to let go of the past and look towards the future. We both have learned our lessons and can use that to build a better tomorrow for ourselves. Please make a fresh start. Make new friends. Get a new job and grow. I might not be able to be there to cheer you on, but I will always pray that you make a beautiful future for yourself, and maybe someday when the pain has been dulled enough, we can meet, but at this time, I want you to just start afresh without me. The reason I suggest you write a letter is so that you can in a sense give her some kind of gesture to move on. She needs to start focusing on yourself and understand that she cannot have her past life back with you. The relationship is broken beyond repair and she needs to start building up her life, and if she can get 20k to spend on visiting you, she can surely get scholarships or something from what your wife got from you to finish her education. I am really sorry for what you went through and hope that with time you are able to heal yourself. Please know I felt your pain and betrayal. It's one thing to be betrayed by your wife, but Sil and Mill, and especially your daughter. I know it's hard to forgive, but your wife twisted your daughter's mind from a very young age. She prevented her from ever having a great relationship with you. Your daughter is a victim as well. I agree, at her age, she knew better, but she was already damaged and made to choose mom's side. My daughter is special to me, and if you could have a sit down with your daughter and talk to her, you may realize she's a victim as well. She realized what she was losing when you turned your back. I think in her mind it wouldn't ever be this way, but reality slapped her hard. I pray you can find peace with your past and make amends with your daughter. I don't want to make amends with my daughter. It's late. I don't even know if she's mine. If she was, she wouldn't have stabbed me like this. She's only mad because life wasn't greener on the other side. There are consequences of our actions. It's what makes us human. She made her bed. I feel sad, but I won't be reaching out. I'm so sorry. My heart really does feel for you, and I know how you feel. My wife cheated and got away with it for a year and a half. I divorced her and she succeeded in turning my kids against me. It was miserable for years. They're grown now and they finally see she's a serial cheater. She's cheated on every man she's been with. My son still isn't as close to me because she broke the bond he and I had. I guess he's as stubborn as I am. He tells me I love you with all my heart, but he doesn't visit much, and I have raised his son since he was 2 weeks old. My daughter and I have a great relationship. They both have trust issues after seeing their mother cheat for many years. My son seems to end up with trashy no-good women, and my daughter says she's afraid she'll never fall in love. Tell me she doesn't know how to trust anyone. My son falls in love with every girl he meets. His mind got messed up badly with her. I try telling them not to settle and they'll find the right one. I was fortunate and found a lady that loves me dearly. My ex tried to apologize and say we can try to work it out. Are you nuts? It's been over 20 years and I'd never put myself in that again. Plus I'd never do my love dirty. She doesn't deserve it. I love her very much and it took me years to get my mind and heart straight. It really is sad when your kids are brought into the middle of marital trouble. I suggest getting a DNA test for the sake of your wife and son. If something happened to you, then she can actually contest the will and take a share of everything. If she's yours, then nothing has to change, but if she's not, then it needs to be shown to your attorney. Unfortunately, I got pregnant while we were still married and I went through hell. Her child was considered mine since we were still married and was entitled to all my estate if I passed. My ex would have used that to make sure my wife now would get nothing and get kicked out of the house I bought. I own 2 and a lot of classics. I had to go through a judge to get it straightened out. Sorry to say, but you'll need to do the same to protect your family. Please contact an attorney to see if it's the same in your state. I sure don't want you to have to go through what I did, or for your loving wife to have to deal with it later in life. Thank you for responding to my comment. It really meant a lot to me. I'm glad you found love and opened your heart up to it. If I were like me, I walked around in a storm cloud every minute of every day. The heart is really not to be played with. Have a blessed night. It sucks, man. Best of luck to you. I'll see what I can do. Was your wife not able to get good money from the divorce as well as spousal support to help support herself and her daughter? Yes and no. She got spousal support, a car, our daughter's insurance and her savings, which are arguably equal to my own. I don't know she did with her money. And you don't feel like you have any responsibility for how she turned out, for how you ignored red flags from her at 8 and never followed up. Lamau, this is the fakest shit I've ever read. I wouldn't be surprised if all the cheating stuff happened, but Op's response is all fantasy. It's what he wishes would have happened, but it certainly didn't. Has all the tropes of people begging for forgiveness, realizing that he was the perfect man the whole time, the surprise evidence at the divorce hearing that the other lawyer didn't know about, all the same bullshit fantasy you see in these cheating stories. Mate, but what if there's a slight chance it's real? How about then? Yes, people copy the same tropes, but don't we all? We use this showed passed away and all that in our stories and essays, and like, no offense, but you also likely have the realizing and surprising part in your stories. Plus he has some flaws, like the one where his father wasn't in his life. This also happened to me. My father left and got married to a different woman, divorced again and then remarried. Lastly, some of my friends and co-workers, I consider being perfect. You can have different meanings of perfect, like gender stereotyping with Prince Charming, and perfect like they have their life intact. I can go on and on, but I'm probably guessing you get the gist. Also, how can you prove it's fake? It's not like he copied and pasted someone else's work. There's no chance it's real. Full stop. This is 100% a fantasy story, of how Op wishes things would go, but that isn't how the world works. Everyone who has wronged him has their life destroyed and losing their minds. He comes out rich and better than everyone, even gets a better wife. It reeks of the incel fantasy. Everyone who wronged him is a woman who has absolutely no care in the world for his feelings. It's a better man that they love, not him. Even his own daughter, who he's way too quick to disown. He lays the seeds that it all starts when good men die, his dad and Phil. The only people that help him are the men, lawyers and judges. The court shenanigans are the nail in the coffin. Up doesn't know how the court system works, and you obviously don't either. Real court isn't like TV, but you and Up don't get that, and it shows. Nowhere in my post I wrote was perfect. Nobody is. Do I feel any better that I have a beautiful wife who understands my heart now and a handsome son? Yes, but still it doesn't make me feel any better that I heard my ex-wife and my daughter are suffering. They were family once. They betrayed me and I do feel bad for them. Am I richer than before? Yes, but it was because I got a job that paid well. If it wasn't for that, I would have been making the same sum as before. About court systems, I take it you've learnt only about US laws? I mentioned before that we are not from the US. Laws, especially divorce laws, are different here. If your spouse doesn't work and cheats, you won't be required to pay spousal support too in some cases. Is it not different? In me, adultery is punishable, isn't it believable? Life is different from what you tend to be. I originally wanted to get it off my chest. I got a few responses pushing me to type out in a larger sub where it blew up. I had no intention of that. People who are saying I did this for karma farming, take my karma, I don't care. Do I wish it was fake? 100%. Relationships are complicated. I don't have any words I can explain except that as much as I would like to have my daughter back in my life, I would rather die than to face the pain again. You're wrong about women too. My new wife, whom I am currently married to, didn't wrong me. She's wonderful. She's been pushing me to build a bridge with my daughter. World laws, beliefs, and relationships are different around the world. You can believe whatever you want, I can't change that. I wasn't the best husband or father, but I tried to be one. That's all I can say. Thanks for commenting. My new wife, whom I am currently married to, didn't wrong me. She's wonderful. She's been pushing me to build a bridge with my daughter. Listen to your wife. She's an objective third party who loves you and doesn't want you hurt. She sees something that your pain prevents you from seeing. Trust her. Seeing most of the comments and responses from Op, and seeing a similar situation in life from afar, Op is also in the wrong. Yes, he is the main victim in all of this, but he was also enabling this toxic behavior, probably out of denial and the brief moments where everything was good. His daughter was totally disrespectful and horrible, but in the course of his marriage there was probably days where she was nice to an extent to get something, or having him buy a luxurious gift or something was what was holding Op back, and more than likely he was the provider and the ex-wife was the caregiver and dealt with 80 to 90% of the children needs and care. As Op said, it started when his daughter was 8, so he was probably gone most of the time at work. To mend the relationship and gave his wife the benefit of the doubt. However, after years of putting up with the wife's family and his wife's drama, the realization of the affair and the proof was the straw that broke the camel's back, and Op went nuclear, and the fallout was brutal for his ex and daughter. More than likely the ex-affair partner went apeshit after his mother's death, and that guilt is probably what let the ex-wife into the mental hospital. And the daughter was probably abandoned by ex-Sil, and ex-Mill passed away, so her support circle was demolished. But that being said, and this may sound harsh, but Op's relationship with his daughter was stranded for years before the divorce, and after, when the daughter realized how good she had it, and being bitch-slapped by reality, she came to her senses as she saw her future and way of life as she knew it disappear. Now Op's daughter is showing remorse, that is true, but if the affair partner was rich, would she? If the mother rebounded and was also well off, would she? And is it all an act to get back the life of luxury she had before? Op needs to consider this too. The daughter in her teen years showed no remorse until they all were caught red-handed. Op also was not perfect himself. More than likely he was a distant father, emotionally and physically allowing the mother, Sil, to poison her against him as we was providing for all of them. But what she did to Op was also unforgivable. And is she remorseful or just bitter and depressed that life did not pan out as she intended? Op needs to take baby steps and have measures in place to see if his daughter is willing to go the distance and is not after Op's money, and this may sound harsh, but also the 20k could be a high-risk gamble to ensure he will contact her and she can butter him up with guilt that she is alone and miserable, and atoned for her behavior. I say this as I seen this before. Op should show up under false conditions to where he is broke and middle class and is just making an amount to live comfortably and modest, and see if she truly wants a relationship regardless, if he has no more money to support her or if just to play to get money in a long con like her mother. Spot on comment. I was the sole earner after my mum's death. If your story is true and you are looking for advice, then I'll give it from my POV. I don't know if your daughter's disregard towards you stemmed from your supposed neglect or if your ex or wife completely poisoned your daughter's mind. Regardless, what she did was unforgivable. I know fathers should help their children no matter what, but in your case, she disrespected you from 8 to 17, which means she never loved you when you were with her. It means there was no relationship to miss. Now she's contacting you to suck out some more support from you as much as possible, when before this you fulfilled her needs while she called you an ape, your late mother a witch, and some other man. Her mother was fucking her father while her mother sucking all the money out of you and trying to lock you in a chastity. With that said, I think you should help her financially to the extent that she can at least scrape by if that's her condition financially, and also reject the 20k. That should remove some of your failure as a father feelings, which is so untrue. You were good to her. Take some time to test the waters with her to support emotionally or have a relationship, because as I said before, you were just a cash cow for her and there wasn't a relationship in the first place. Keep her at a 10,000 arms distance. Also just put your son's and wife's name in your will and leave the smallest amount so that she can't contest the will, as it is a possibility she's coming for your assets as proven in the past. Your current family must be the first and only priority, and please move on for their sake. Also, did you take a DNA test for your son? So to summarize, you're pointing out that I should give her some money to keep her at a distance and reject the 20k that she wants to give me. I had no intention of taking it BTW, and be done with it? Yes, DNA proves he's mine. What I meant is that if she ever gets into a situation where she can't buy food or necessities or financial help for health problems, you should help her, but that's it. You need to give your attention and resources to people who love you, son and wife. Just forget and move on. But if you want to start a relationship, first take time, take years, to see if she's changed. Start with minimal contact and gradually increase contact, and only then introduce her to your family. But then again, keep her out of your assets and maintain a distance. These are two options from my POF. But you can decide for yourself what's best for you and your family. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.